Coming up next on Insights on PBS Hawaii, what is the Aloha spirit and does Hawaii still have it? Aloha and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Mahealani Richardson. The Aloha spirit is such an integral part of Hawaii's identity that it's even defined in our state constitution. But how does this call for compassion, unity, humility, and patience play out in business and government transactions throughout the state today? Is the Aloha spirit alive and well, or is Hawaii being marketed as the Aloha state even as it's losing its Aloha spirit? What is the Aloha spirit and does Hawaii still have it? We invite you to join our conversation by calling, emailing, or tweeting your questions and comments. Now to our panel. George Kam is the ambassador of Aloha for Quicksilver. He believes that taking care and healing the elements that make Hawaii special can help combat challenges to the tourism industry. Jessica Lunny Rich is the president of the Visitor Aloha Society of Hawaii. The organization helps visitors who have been victims of crime while visiting the islands. Kaipo Ho is the manager of cultural experiences for Outrigger Enterprises. He's also an ordained Hawaiian kahu and practitioner of cultural protocol and spiritual healing. And Danny Kaleikini is Hawaii's ambassador of Aloha and is a legendary Hawaiian musician who's been entertaining visitors from all over the world for more than 4 decades. And tonight I must say aloha to all of you.
Aloha. Aloha.
Of course, we knew you were going to do that. So let me start off with you, Danny.
Aye.
What is the Aloha spirit?
Aloha is the breath of life and love that we share with one another. And it begins with you. It starts with you first. Aloha is so important to the people of Hawaii. Because of Aloha, we make connections around the world. But most important, number one, Akua, Almighty
And speaking
God.
of those connections, Kaipo, you make connections with the employees that you work with, and you actually teach them the Aloha spirit. So how is this done in a business sense?
You know, that's an interesting question or an interesting approach. I feel it's not so much teaching our employees the Aloha spirit as it's probably more creating specific experiences. I think they're experiencing the culture in Aloha for themselves. At Outrigger, we're really fortunate. We have a very strong corporate culture. We are a local company, owned and operated local company, started by Roy and Estelle Kelly back in 1947. And between that time and where we are today, family values have been strongly instilled into our corporate culture. And that really is the foundation for building the Aloha spirit with our employees. And you know, our mantra at Outrigger is if we take good care of our employees, if we afford them the proper respect and treat them with Aloha, then that's naturally going to overflow to the guest experience. And if our guests are happy, well, that translates further down to our owners being happy.
Speaking of corporate culture, George Kam, we have the Aloha spirit right here, ambassador of Aloha, but your business card, your job title is actually ambassador of Aloha. What does that mean and what does that job description entail?
Well, I think we're all ambassadors of Aloha, you know, and I think what greater honor for all of us, you know, and for Quicksilver, I was just so fortunate that they allowed me the opportunity to do that. And I think really the essence of it is really, I think, Dan, in all, aloha aku, aloha mai. Malama aku, malama mai. So to fully extend our aloha, and naturally will come back to us, and fully extend to us, to malama, to take care, you know, and then it'll naturally come back to us. And I think that's the essence of it. I'm fortunate that we can live with aloha every day. I think, like how you said, we have all kinds of challenges and everything, but I think those are our lessons of aloha. You know, the more challenging it gets, that's an opportunity to show our best aloha.
So is your job sales? Is it marketing? Is it retail? What do you do?
You know, I think what it is really the essence of who we are. You know, so when you talk about Quicksilver, I mean, a multi-billion-dollar company, but I was so fortunate that they understood the value of Hawaii and the value of Aloha and being based out of surfing. I mean, what better honored to have a company whose roots are based in surfing. And really, when you look back to Duke, right, the original ambassador of Aloha, really honored and really taught us how to live with Aloha every day. So I think it was natural for Quicksilver to understand the value of that and to really have our roots deeply enrooted with the heritage, that makes Hawaii such a special place. And I'm just fortunate to be a part of it. I mean, over 20 years that we've been doing it, and like I said, what a gift. Like I said, I wish I could do it for the rest of my life.
It's a blessing that, they can share the aloha.
Yes, absolutely, Dan.
Really polole hikunuka. Oh, yeah.
Jessica, in your position as the head of the Visitor Aloha Society, you've seen the worst and the best in people. And so because of that, where do you think the Aloha spirit is? Is it getting better in the islands or is it getting worse, do you think?
Well, first of all, Mahea, thank you for having me here tonight and to be in such wonderful company of Aloha. From the minute I walked in the door, I felt it. And I have seen the best. And for people who aren't familiar with the Visitor Aloha Society, what we do is we help visitors who come here who may have an unfortunate situation, such as losing a wallet or medical emergency, and sometimes even death. And we take that negative experience or that pain that they're feeling, and we turn it into a positive experience. And we do that with the spirit of Aloha.
What's an example of something that you've seen, a terrible tragedy, and that you've seen people swoop in and spread the Aloha?
I've seen a lot of tragedies, but rather, and in addition to that, what I have also seen is people who, for example, come out of the water, we're talking about surfing, people who go surfing, come out of the water, and everything is taken. And all they have is the swimsuit. Nothing, exactly. They're on the North Shore and they have a flight in 4 hours. And the police will call us, and they have a lot of Aloha, by the way, and say, what can you do? I'll send our shuttle up there. I'll call and ask what clothes size are there. I'll go to Ross in Waikiki. I don't mean to plug anything, but I'll go to a store and I'll go to you. Buy their clothes, provide food. When they arrive in Waikiki, have a hotel hospitality room waiting for them. They'll have clothes, a meal, and at times we'll personally drive them to the airport. When they leave here, yes, they had a negative experience, but they also had Aloha. They also had, this is team Aloha. We are all ambassadors of Aloha, every single one of us.
What about, Danny, in terms of ages? Do you think that our youth are having more Aloha spirit today, or do they feel the Aloha spirit?
Po'opakiki. Those kamalis, you gotta, it's like anything else, you just have to educate them and share the aloha with them first, I mean, they still have that taran,
The taran meaning?
Yeah, so but...
Texting, that's what he means.
So do you think our youth are not, they aren't feeling the Hawaiian spirit, the Aloha spirit as much as, let's say, different generations?
Well, it's a whole different market, especially growing up today, I mean, we got, everything is high tech. You just got to go back to reality, and this a perfect example is the kamalis that I in Papakolea. Hui, anoi, peoi, huh? How are you? Okay. Oh, I said, aloha, aloha. But just to share that with them, and just to malama, especially the young people today, and I think you're trying to educate them, but you don't tell them, you just do it.
I think the point you make too is we cannot blame the youth. We have to look at ourselves. We have to look at this generation. If we are modeling the right behaviors, if we are being aloha, and they're seeing this, they're witnessing this. This is this is our kuleana. This is our responsibility to prepare our younger generations to exude that aloha. Times change, generations change, expectations change. Technology has its thing. We have many distractions in our life every day. But I think we as kupuna, so to speak, we have a responsibility to.
Speaking of technology, George, do you think technology is causing us to lose our Aloha spirit? I mean, people are texting all day long. They're at their computers. We barely say hello these days sometimes.
I think God bless America. Thank goodness we have all this technology, and as we evolve and everything. I mean, I look at international marketplace. You know, we've been there over 20 years, and you know, everybody's so sad. But I said, what a great blessing for all the things that Queen Emma does for them to remodel and all that. And really, when you look at our keiki, you know, I just think it's different times. I mean, when I grew up, it was different. So when we look at it, Brother Nolan said it best. He goes, it's not attention deficit disorder. Nature deficit disorder. You know, get them outside, get them in. And we always say, touch the water. And that's why I want to take you. Touch the water. You get out there. You get out in Mamala Bay. You let her caress you. You know, Uncle George Downing would always tell me, take the tourists, take the Mahealani, take them in the water. But more importantly, he said, now take the Kamaina in the water. Because we're so busy, but we forget to touch the water.
So George, I know you surf every day.
Absolutely.
And in the surfing culture,
Yes.
surfers get very territorial. And then you have the surfers versus the stand-up paddlers, and it looks like there's a big divide. So where's the Aloha spirit there?
Well, that's our lesson of Aloha, right? I mean, it's easy to be
Good
divisive,
question.
right? It's easy to be divisive. How do we bring? We're all connected to the ocean. You know, all of us, we're all ocean people. We all touch that.
Right.
So to me, I think what a great opportunity. You know, and I learned from Jerry Lopez and others who had that transition, right, from the stand-up to the, you know, surfers and everything else. So I think, like for me, I stand up a lot. I think what a great opportunity. But you got to share, right? Come by. Hey, you know, Jerry says we take the last wave, or give the surfers or the boogie boarders, let them go first. We catch the last wave of the set. Plenty of waves out there for anybody, or plenty of waves all packed, all the surfers are there. Hey, just go cruise down Mamala Bay. We don't need to catch a wave. We got boards that can do anything. But to enjoy the water, to be out there in the ocean, that's where the mana is. That's the magic. That's the thing that I think when I go back to Nolan, when he talks about it, nature deficit disorder, or attention deficit disorder. I think it's nature. I think all of us get back there, go up there, walk in. You want to go Mauka, you want to go Makai. I'm Makai. But Mauka, same thing. Go hug a tree, go walk on the land. Malama ya aina, like how you did, right? When you and Linda did that. Same thing, the feeling, right? Easy for go hire somebody else, but you touch the land, you get there. That's where you feel the mana, and the land, the ocean will speak to us. That's where Aloha is. So I think it's still there. And the keikis get it too.
We're starting to get questions from some of our viewers, and I wanted to ask you this, Jessica. This is from Lori from Aiea. Can Aloha be built on random acts of kindness?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, what? Thank you. I want to thank Lori for that question. And in my first reaction to this about random acts of kindness, I want to say something about, we were talking about young people. And one random act of kindness that I personally became involved with was with a young person that we were talking about who was a Girl Scout, who a young person came here to celebrate her 15th birthday with her grandmother. The grandmother died. And this Girl Scout stepped up to the plate, so to speak. Her name is Morgan. She lives in Mahealani. And she was with this 15-year-old, and she took care of her, showed a random act of kindness to a total stranger. We escorted this young person to the airport. So I want to say that there are young people out there who do have Aloha. I want to say that in defense of the young people. And yes, definitely a random act of kindness.
Danny, you know, people know you as the ambassador of Aloha, Mr. Aloha. Is that hard to live up to that standard all the time?
No, I live Aloha, I breathe Aloha, you know, and it's...
But what if somebody cuts you off on the freeway and says something mean to you? Do you have to be Mr. Aloha at that moment?
Tell the truth.
I go like...
Really? I mean, does feeling Aloha spirit mean you be nice all the time?
I cannot help, you know, it's... I give a good example, like, you know, I go to Chinatown and, Uncle, I like go eat. I said, okay, I'll take you go eat. Oh, I like the bread. I said, you like go eat or you like the bread? Oh, I like, then I'm not gonna eat the bread. You like go eat, I take you eat. Oh, but I said, you asked me one time, you see this, gonna be right in your face. But you know, my grandson was, he go, Grandpa, I said, Nick, I was brought up in Chinatown. I'm from Papakolea. I said, that was part of my life. You know, I had to survive, you know, but you learn and live. But, you know, I thank God he gave me a gift, he gave me a talent, and because of this talent, I stayed at one hotel for 30 years. That was a blessing.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
No.
Kaipo, what about you in terms of your dealings with folks at the hotel and other people in the tourism industry? Do you think it's possible for hotel executives, tourism executives to really embody that aloha spirit in the tourism industry, which is a dog-eat-dog competitive industry?
Definitely. I think we have to understand in the hospitality or in the visitor industry, what we really are in is the business of, or the hospitality industry, and inherent to hospitality is aloha. You know, you cannot have hospitality without aloha. The aloha is caring for your guests, you know, it's caring for each other on the job. And that caring for one another is not reserved for just the line employees. It's something that has to emanate throughout the entire organization. As a matter of fact, I think for an organization to be extremely successful in that regard is that aloha is truly exuded at the top level. This is a wonderful way of modeling the corporate culture, the types of experience that we expect of our employees, you know, sharing with our guests.
What's a specific in terms of the model? How do you see that in the business model?
I'm not sure I understand.
In terms of the aloha spirit, I mean, you can talk about it, but what specifically are employees are they supposed to do in terms of really embodying that sense of aloha spirit?
You know, that's a good question. I think it's important to make a connection between things we are already doing to what we might define as being the aloha spirit. And I think that's the greatest way to start that learning process, is to let people know that there are things we're doing now that's perfectly in line with the aloha spirit. And then if there's some straying, which obviously is going to happen, we're all human on the job, you know, that's where the manager, the supervisor come into play. That's our responsibility, to step up to the plate, to have that courage, and to be disciplined, to share with our employees that, you know, I noticed you did something. Can you explain to me why you did that? You know, and have this dialogue. And in that dialogue, it's not just the communication between the two of you, but you're telling your employee that, you know, I really care. And they easily pick up on this.
George, is there something that companies can learn from companies here in terms of aloha spirit? Because it might be a foreign topic or concept to people. Aloha spirit, what is that?
Right. I always say it's the relentless pursuit on the possibilities of the human spirit. We call it the aloha spirit. So it connects universally. I mean, Quicksilver is a global company. I remember when we first did our store in Times Square, right in the Pico, right in the Na'au of New York City and everything. Everyone's, yeah, George, plenty of aloha in Waikiki, but you take them up, New York, no way you can. No way. No more aloha over there. Oh, you go over there. It's amazing what we did when we the first store, right in Times Square, right where they dropped the ball. And the mana that you could feel in people and the love, you know, and I think all the way back to my Auntie Ann Holt, you know, was over there back in Hawaii Visitors Bureau back there in San Francisco, but the feeling, the aloha. So aloha was a gift. You know, when I look at Dukana Moku, you know, it's like surfing. You know, it's so good. He didn't want to just keep it here. He wanted to share it with the world. And I think that's aloha. You know, aloha is to be given, to be shared. And absolutely you have to model the way. So when you look universally, I think companies are headed more towards the aloha spirit. And I look at Eti Pilahi Paki, right, when she says, you know, the world could come to Hawaii to search for world peace, because Hawaii has the key, and that key is aloha. So to live with aloha every day, I think it's an obligation as a company, as Outrigger, as Quicksilver. So got to be value-centered, but the value-centered is the very best of the human spirit, the aloha spirit.
Let's talk about a fun topic, politics. And Danny, you were just at the opening day of the legislature. Opening day, it's about prayers, it's about food, festivities. But then when you start talking about the issues, GMOs, same-sex marriage, there are very heated debates. And then we have the upcoming elections. Is the aloha spirit just something that politicians talk about? What do you think?
They should. They should, you know, especially nowadays. And I think when we look at a lot of our politicians, especially the young ones, you know, they got to be educated too, you know. And I won't mention names, but you know, it would be nice if they learn to spell A-L-O-H-A, aloha, and use that 5-letter magic word, because it's so important, you know.
Go ahead, mention names. We won't tell anybody. No,
So do you think that politicians are just using aloha spirit
No,
in their slogans?
No, from you know what I gathered being at the opening of, there's some that you know have aloha. There's some that should learn aloha, and there's some that got to be educated,
Kaipo, I have a question for you.
Sure.
This is from Moki from Nanakuli. Okay. There are a lot of inappropriate and even profane slogans on t-shirts, bumper stickers, etc. They reflect no aloha spirit. Some agency should monitor them. Now, do you agree with Moki from Nanakuli, or would that be infringing on free speech?
Wow, you stuck that one in there. I think it would be great to have an agency to monitor that. I think that monitoring begins first at the company who ordered those shirts. They should be educated properly. They should be provided some Hawaiian cultural sensitivity education to understand what those slogans may imply. Perfect example, I no care. I no care.
How do you spell that?
A-I-N-O-K-E-A. I no care. You see this on trucks, you see it on cars. And if you really look into this, and I'm not a language expert, but if you really look into this, there's 3 words. I, no, care. I, to eat, to consume. No, of, or from. Care, the foreign ways. And so, I no care means you throw away the way, the honor of our place, of our culture. And by throwing away, then you're accepting the inappropriate. And to me, that's an example of a very bad slogan.
Well, those T-shirts and others with maybe slogans that some might take offense to, they're clearly making money. So, George, is it possible to make money, be a competitive business, and truly feel the aloha spirit at the same time?
Absolutely, Mahealani. But again, God bless America again. I mean, the right to be able to do this shirt, but the right to do others. But I really think all this thing is really a mirror to reflect, well, what is our aloha response? So to have a choice, and that's why I said this is all our lessons of aloha. Easy to go choke the neck or crack them or do all that kind of, But really, what is our best aloha? And I always think there's, I didn't know there was a limit to aloha. So if aloha all the way. Aloha all the way, yeah, hard. But we didn't say it was going to be easy. If we're going to model the way, we're going to make a difference. We're going to do the hard things, but what's pono? And Hawaiians does ho'oponopono, to make right, not just pono. Right. So we're going to have these challenges, but what a great opportunity. I mean, we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. Hawaii, the best place, the piko of everything, the na'au, from the people of the mu all the way to what we have today. So bring it on. Bring it, come on, my, come. And we malama them, right? We bring it in. We don't ban them. We don't censor them. Show. And then we model the way, show them a better way. Take you out in the ocean. I can keep you on the concrete jungle, but in the water, it all balances back out, connecting that way, a higher calling.
Here's a great question, and it brings to light sort of the Oahu versus the neighbor islands issue. And Danny, I'm going to ask this to you. Can Honolulu learn true aloha spirit from the neighbor islands?
Of course. Each island is so different. Each island has so much. I mean, I go to one island, the aloha there is so strong, and I love it there. You go to Molokai, it's a whole different, the people there have a whole different lifestyle. All depends where you go. I love.
Is there less aloha spirit here in Honolulu because of our fast-paced city lifestyle?
We're so busy, that. We don't have time to really stop and think and worry about aloha, because everybody's trying to put in that time in 8 hours and punch in, punch out.
It goes back to what I mentioned earlier about distractions. You got more people living on this island.
Yeah.
And so there are more distractions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying the people are the distraction, but we are. We create those distractions. The neighbor island, our neighbor island people, they truly have the aloha. I've lived on a neighbor island for many years and felt the essence of their aloha spirit.
The whole lifestyle is different.
The whole lifestyle is different.
Very
and
different.
Why is the lifestyle different? Part of it has to do with not having those distractions and being, as you say, the DNA, that back to the land kind of thing.
I mean, I look the other way. You go to Mamala Bay and Waikiki, that's the piko, the concrete jungle. I don't remember taking Brother Nolan because you go, look what they done to me. I said, come to our, and then you see it and you touch it and you feel it. I mean, I think in Oahu, you know, on all the islands, from whether you go La'au Point and Molokai to Oahu, it's all there. You know, it's all there. It's all connected. It's one source. And I think when you look, right, remember Nana Viri says, the only problem facing us in life is our belief in separation from the source. Solve that one and all others vanish. Once you realize we're all connected, we're all in a canoe, and you realize that Mamala Bay, the big fish pond that can feed all of us, we need to take care of Waikiki. We cannot just take from her. You know, us to malama her, and as it does it, because it feeds all of us. It feeds the neighbor islands as well as every place around the whole state. So I think that connection is pure.
George, here's a question from Megan via Twitter. And she says, rugged individualism directly conflicts with the Aloha spirit. We need to promote systemic lifestyle change. Rugged individualism. So can you be individualistic and forward thinking while still embracing your the aina?
Absolutely. I mean, I think all great change is created from people. We don't want to suppress anybody. We want them to come alive. And I think in Hawaii, this thing will connect with them. And so we get the best version of themselves. So rugged individualism will, the same one who's rugged as an individual, look at Danny. Papakolea. Papa was rugged, cracking guys down in Chinatown. Now ambassador of Aloha. So you got to believe that there's good in everybody. So we're giving up there, right? Danny smoky time. Danny today, different Danny. But seeing Danny, the essence. But why? Because Danny been through that rugged individualism. He's the one cracking the guys in Chinatown and choking their neck. And so what I'm saying, but now ambassador of Aloha.
No, I changed.
You learned the way. But did Danny change, or did he evolve into the best version of himself, the better version of himself?
Let's go back to Hanabata days, Danny. How would your friends describe you way back when?
Coming from Papukla, yeah, I shined shoes, I sold newspapers. We knew that our gang.
Your gang, right? What colors you guys had?
Hawaii Theater was the boundary. The guys Palama, that, you know, they couldn't cross over Hawaii Theater. And guys like from Papukalea, Kakako, we couldn't go past Hawaii Theater. Everybody had their own. Yeah. But we all survived, you know.
But worked together, right?
Yeah. You know, so
but yet probably radical, like you said, rugged individuals.
Yeah,
you guys, Papukalea, you're a rugged individual, right?
Yeah.
Jessica, here's a question for you. How can we as individuals keep Aloha alive? What can we do today?
I think as individuals, every day in our life, we come across situations that are unexpected. Maybe a neighbor next door needs a ride to work and their car breaks down. Maybe we're walking down the street and somebody needs directions. I think every single day in our life as individuals, we need to think, you know, okay, we're saying we're busy. Oahu's really busy. Are we too busy if somebody needs help to say, you know what, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to help you. Okay, I have a meeting in 15 minutes, but if you're asking me for directions, I'm taking time. I think it's giving of your heart, your soul, sharing kindness and compassion, and most of all, love. Love to total strangers. That's what the Aloha spirit is.
I'd love to know what all of you think about who you admire for having the Aloha spirit. And this question comes from John via Coverlive. Look at our heroes today. Who do we admire for being nice? Except for Mr. Rogers and Danny, of course. So Danny, let me start off with you.
Right up there with
One
Mr.
person who is your ambassador of Aloha.
Dr. Reverend Abraham Akaka.
Jessica, what about you?
I like two people, Danny first, and then the Reverend Joel Olstein, who always has a positive, uplifting note, and both of them.
Kaipo?
That would have to be my mother.
Oh, Pololi.
Yeah. This is a lady who in the drug or the grocery store, long line, she would turn around and start talking to complete strangers in the back. And you know, me, young boy, Ma, who's that? So, I don't know. So, why come you talk to them? Why not?
George?
Yeah,
Who do you look up to in terms of being the ambassador of Aloha?
I don't think not cheap sale, but it's same. My mom, you know, our family, Auntie Anne. When you look at the whole ohana, you know, and then you look all over and you see that it was really about all the people of Hawaii. You know, I mean, I think that's like I said, Auntie Anne, I think more because she was in Apika, New York, and then she was San Francisco for all those years, and Auntie Wadi and all that. I mean, you can go on and on. But when you look how they lived, you know, so the essence of Aloha is lived through the people. You know, that was the model. And I think that's where we're kind of going off course, really for us to model the way, you know, for the keiki, you know, mo'opuna, right? And the kupunas, I mean, that's how the connection, you know, I still live at home in the living room, you know, from small kid time, same place all the way through. But the connection to be there, my mom 83 now, you know, but you feel the source, the mana.
Kaipo, this question is from Ellen, and the question is, where does Aloha Spirit fit in with the advertising the Honolulu Mayor is advocating for, meaning the bus?
Oh my goodness. How do I answer that question?
She threw your
I know.
This is from Ellen of Hilo.
She right one. Well, thank you. Mahalo for that question. I'm not sure how to answer that.
I'll let you think about that. Jessica,
Yeah.
do you have a response?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Where does the Aloha Spirit fit in with the advertising the Honolulu Mayor is advocating for? The bus.
Well, I think advertising, we put Quicksilver up there for one thing. We put the Outrigger up there, or Danny. I think that, you know, it's an individual decision about advertising for the bus. And I think that we could definitely put messages of aloha. Be kind. The question we got earlier, practice random acts of kindness. Practice random acts of aloha.
Now, again, tonight we're talking about what is the Aloha Spirit and does Hawaii still have it? We invite you to join our conversation by calling, emailing, or tweeting your questions and comments. You can call the number 973-1000 on Oahu and 1-800-283-4847 from the neighbor islands. Again, I wanted to say mahalo to all of our guests. And Danny, we have a question from Dwayne via Twitter, and I think I know what you're going to answer, but let me ask you this question anyway. Is the Aloha Spirit even needed today? Why or why not?
Of course. That's the breath of life and love and that we share with one another. And it is important. I mean, it's I start every day with akua and aloha. And that's been the, and just to work at the hotel for 30 years, and the secret, everybody said, what is the secret for you to stay 30 years at one hotel? I said, I had this magic word, A-L-O-H-A, aloha, and it worked.
Jessica, this question comes from Shelley via CoverLive. Aloha starts at home, and unfortunately, parents spend less time at home and more time at work. Now, you're a working mom, busy mom. How do you do it?
Well, I have a son who's he doesn't live with me and he's grown, but I think in response to that particular question, I've seen a lot of moms balance work and taking care of their keiki and showing the aloha, whether it be, you know, taking them to work sometimes or spending more time with them. It's a very difficult balance because we live in one of the most expensive places in the world. But the most important thing is, I think, if your child knows that you're important, that you love them, and whether it's calling them in the middle of the day and saying, you know what, I love you. Not you, I'm talking about the mother.
You love him too. Come on.
I mean, I love you too. I love him.
We love Kaipo.
So Kaipo, you know, earlier Danny expressed some concern about our youth. Where do you think our youth stand in terms of really understanding the Aloha Spirit?
You know, there are two schools out there. There's the one school who's brought up very close to the culture and brought up very close to values in education. And these kids have it. They really do. I think in regards to that group, excuse me, it's important for us to also understand that generation. You know, it's easy for me to say, oh, my daughter, that generation. It's easy for me to say that, but you know, I have to understand their times are different, their priorities are different. And just because those priorities are different from mine does not mean that they don't have aloha. And I think that's what we talk about, that aloha is there's that rugged individualism we talk about. You know, aloha is something that everyone experiences and defines in their own way, and it's important for us to respect that and to make it ho'oponopono is to understand that's their definition of it. Yeah.
George, what do you make of this? This is from Nina via Twitter. Our tutu recently fell during an early morning walk in Aiea and got a gash. No one said a word or offered help. No more aloha?
Oh. Plenty aloha. Just poor thing. I mean, I hope the tutu is okay. You know, but I think we put such a high standard. Like we're trying to find no more. No, got plenty. You just got to go look. And hey, My mom fall down, stand up, help, go get somebody there can help. She was home by herself, couldn't help. You know, but it's the extension all the time. Like I said, to live with aloha all the time. That's the character, what you do, nobody looking what kind of aloha you have. So aloha inside out, you know, not outside in. Sometimes looking all just billboard. No, it's from inside out. And then we have the essence of that mana from inside goes out. And people feel it's a pure connection. Well, we talked earlier about even like Oahu. I always say 3 days. You know, when guys come from the mainland, everything, 3 days, you know, just to get that cleanse. Then your soul arrives. The 5th day, then almost like on great spot treatment. You know, but it's getting in the water. They say, make the time. What do you mean no more time? I mean, like you say, oh, I don't have time to go in the water. What do you mean you don't have time to go in the water? You go water every day. It's just, if you want to.
Time.
Okay, so you make the time, you can touch the water every day. But you don't want, you know. But what I'm saying is there's something about that. And I think going back to that nature deficit, touch the water, then it'll malama us, then it'll connect, and that's what Uncle George down in the kupuna will always say, get there, right? I mean, when the kids was in the water, why did they take everybody surfing? Because they knew if there's in the ocean, no more trouble. You cannot do all this other, you know, like Jerry said, all bad things happen in the parking lots. You know, so stay out of parking lots, right?
That's the best place for ao.
Yeah, everything. Cow, everything, right? Yeah, so we take care of her.
Danny, what do you think is the best way to preserve the aloha spirit?
Education, most important. And
In the schools or at home?
everywhere, everywhere. And that's why, you know, I have so much love for Abraham Akaka Kahu. He was my mentor, he was my kumu, you know, but because of him, you know, I really learned the true essence of aloha.
What's an example of a way in education how we can spread the aloha spirit?
Well, I think, you know, it has to start at home with the kupunas, with the parents, you know. They have to have aloha so they can share with the young people. And, you know, some of our elders are po pakiki, and, you know, instead of the kids getting a kick, they need the kick, you know. And I've experienced, you know, several, you know, I just said, hey, boy, back off, brother, you know. Come on, man, what are you doing, man, you know. But, you know, I'm Papa Kura, a local boy, so. You know.
Kaipo, what do you think about this? You know, almost every business, I don't know of a business that doesn't say that we have the aloha spirit or we embody the aloha spirit. Do you ever think there's an instance where the word aloha or aloha spirit is being over-marketed or misused?
No, that's a good question. I'd like to quote one of my working buds, Pila Hansen, who answered that question, and it made so much sense that if we are under-delivering on that marketing, then yes, we are over-marketing. Marketing aloha is about telling people who we are, where we come from, and what's important to us. And though that's essential to sharing the essence of our place, you know, we, Hawaii, the people of Hawaii.
Jessica, let me ask you this question. This is from a resident on the Waianae Coast. This person says, the aloha spirit is not extended to certain people. Racism is present against African Americans, particularly in Waikiki. Some establishments are very nice, but many make it obvious they don't want you over there. What do you make of this statement?
First of all, I don't agree with that statement. I work in Waikiki, and I want to say that maybe there are a few people who do that to our Afro-American people, visitors, but for the most part, I want to compliment our tourism partners because they go out of their way to help people. I want to say I'm very sorry to that person who did have that experience, but I don't agree that every single Afro-American person who goes into Waikiki has a bad experience. You know, maybe one or two. There's always going to be a rotten apple in the barrel. You know, this is, even the Garden of Eden had a snake. I mean, there's that element of society, but not everybody is like that.
George, how would you handle a situation and if there was, let's say, racism right in front of you, or someone said something that was particularly nasty to you? How would you handle the situation, and do you feel that the aloha spirit would still be there?
Well, you know, it's got to depend on that situation. But I think it's really, again, right, to live with aloha. So what would be your aloha response to something like that? So it depends what it goes. Like, you know, we have, like I said, in America, you have all kind. And I look at Hawaii, you know, and I love jamba juice, but it's not like all these fruits all mixed up. It's like you can taste the coconut, the mango, the papaya. You know, so when you put it all together, it's like a great fruit basket. You know, and so it's like a great fruit salad. So to embrace, it's like cow, right? Cow was chow. I mean, when you look at the plate lunch, you look at, so there's so many things. It was inclusive. Like I said, I understand the host culture, you know, so the people, the place, the culture. But one of the main things about it, come, you know, and come and enjoy and come share with us. And I think the plate lunch was a perfect epitome, right? The plantation days, right? When you go share. I mean, me, I eat pake food, I eat Japanese food the other night, I went to eat Korean food the other night, I mean, I had Hawaiian food. I mean, that's the essence. So start with the food, right, to extend and there, and then, yeah, you're going to have all kinds of stuff. I can find a unique situation there, but it's really, what do we choose, right? Is that fine? I mean, it's like 51-49, you're right there. So what is your aloha response?
But you
know,
stick up
the
for
blessing or the
person.
burden?
I think you stick up. If you're in a situation where somebody is antagonizing another
but
person.
But not to fight, but to share.
Exactly.
And to share aloha, and to share
aloha.
about the host culture,
Well,
to
it's
model.
interesting that you brought that up, because several of the questions that we've gotten tonight, you know, talk about people ignoring something or just walking the other way, turning the other direction. Is there a reluctance, especially where you are, Jessica, to feel that I can't get involved?
I never have that feeling. I always
not you personally, but,
No,
but
not
you
me
know,
per-
just on the streets.
It's an individual thing if you want to get involved or not. I would say, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say the people at this table, if they saw injustice, they're going to step in. We're going to step in and say, you know, this is not right. We want to make this wrong right.
And in Waikiki, I mean, I see most people go help. You know, you always have, hey, they want to stay away with culturally or this or that, but most people want to help. It's like anything. Something happens, hey, you go help.
Yeah.
You know, that is the Hawaiian way. I mean, that is Hawaii, right? The essence of that.
Kokua.
Yeah,
Danny,
everybody kokua.
why don't you respond to Don's via Twitter? And Don says, looking at how we drive on Oahu, aloha spirit is dead. I have a feeling that Don's lives in Honolulu. What do you make of this statement?
Town, right?
You know, like Don, you got to drive every day, you know, so just take it with a grain of salt. And, you know, the next time somebody does that to you, whatever they do, I says, look at them and says, the next time I see you, I'm going to hickey your neck.
Well, you're a personality. You know, do you ever
What if they
feel
say
like
yes,
you
though? What
have
are
to
you
be
gonna do?
nice all the time? Because, you know, people know who you are. You're Danny Kaleikini.
No, but it's that's what, so no matter where I am, because everybody knows, hey, that's Kaniola, you know, and, well, I don't go to chicken fights anymore, so.
Did you just admit you went to a chicken fight? Kaipo, why don't I ask you this? This is from Garrett in Honolulu. Okay. And Garrett says, Aloha only exists with the tourism industry and politicians to generate income.
Oh, that is. There's no trueness to that statement at all. No. Aloha is evident every day, everywhere, and I think we have to ask ourselves the question before, and this is for everyone. It's not just for Garrett. This is something for all of us to think about. Is Aloha begins with us. It starts with us, and sometimes having some very sensitive moments, we have to ask ourselves the question, okay, where's the aloha in this? You know, in other words, there's duality. There's you know, the yin and the yang. And so I think learning about aloha is also understanding, okay, if we're throwing a curveball, what's that curveball teaching us? What's the lesson in that?
What about when people are discussing issues, let's say GMOs or same-sex marriage? You know, GMOs on Kauai, there were threats over the issue. And people who are educated, all of a sudden, things start happening. And so where does the Aloha spirit go when you're talking about a very heated issue?
Well, there's some reconnection required there. Because the Aloha spirit, as you say, is being connected to the source. And that source is yes, it's truly begins with Keakua, and it's also that source with us. And that's a moment for us to sit back and reflect and do a little, what they say, attitude adjustment.
But
so
we
to
can
speak.
agree to disagree. I mean, you
True,
don't have to
true,
agree on everything. You can be
true.
very respectful,
Yeah.
even though you have totally different
very
I
opinions.
think that's healthy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you want. You want these divisive points of view so we can share. I mean, I remember taking Derek, the representative from Kauai, out in the water. Again, same thing. But just to connect, because we knew the challenges that were coming about with the GMO and those for, those against. I said, well, just go listen, go find, go, fight together. But understand that we're all connected. And if you go Aloha first, then what does that look like? So what would be our best Aloha on Kauai, which is also an extension of the whole state? And you're always going to have the extremes. But there's a common ground. So how do we find that balance? Like a good beef stew, how much carrots, how much onions, how much beef? You cannot go all beef, cannot go carrots. Right? Always hungry, right? Yeah. But I think that's it, right? But I think in Hawaii, we always look at the extremes, but it's really getting back to balance and how we can connect. Like the canoe not balanced, going huli. So you got to make sure that it's all that yin yang that you're talking about. But I think that's Aloha is like that, mauka makai. Right? I mean, everything you look in life is like that. So find that balance.
Danny, this thought comes from Frank. We do not act with compassion as a society. How do we treat the poor, the mentally ill, the elderly, the unemployed, or our keiki?
Help them.
What do you make of that? Help them.
You gotta help them. I go Chinatown. I see uncle like eat. Oh, come on, go. I take you eat. But when they ask me for money, I say no. I say you like eat. I take you eat. But don't ask me for money.
Yeah. Teach them how to fish instead of just giving them
fish. I've been involved with the Salvation Army. I've been with the River of Life mission. I mean, I would go down there and go serve the people, help, feed them, give them cacao, and but it made me feel good to do this, and I thank Akua that we can. The more we support these people and give them cocoa and help them, that's one less guy off the road,
Jessica, I'm going through our questions, and a lot of them are negative and saying we've lost our Aloha spirit. Derek from Honolulu says, we have seemed to have lost our Aloha spirit within our own community. What do you make of people's perception of the Aloha spirit?
I think we were talking earlier about the Aloha spirit is an individual thing. I think we make choices every single day. And for every person who's not only here, but also listening to us right now, when you get out of bed in the morning, you can ask yourself, am I going to take the low road? Am I going to walk over? Am I going to ignore people? Or am I, if somebody touches me and say, I'm hungry, can you buy me a McDonald's, Big Mac? Are you going to give, I know you won't give them money, but go buy them the Big Mac. It's an individual choice. And maybe that person feels that the Aloha spirit isn't there, but for many of us, I think the Aloha spirit is alive and well.
And Derek from Honolulu also asks for George, instead of focusing on tourists, what do you think should be done about treating our own community with Aloha?
Yeah, I think tourists, Malihini, right, Kamaʻaina, all same. We're all connected. Not one better. How do we take care of each other? That's really a key. And I say when you talk about tourists and all the experiences, because a lot of guys not from here, but they came and then now this is their home. So when I look at it, and I always say, you go Great Wall of China, how many times? Once. Pyramids of Egypt, once. Hawaii, you come back to back to back. And why did it come? Because there's something magical. The Aloha spirit is alive and well, and I see it time and again, and there were people, my brother Dwayne just moved down here. He works in Napa, but he lives in Hawaii. But you see that in this pool, and you talk about it, people, and Jerry would always say, if it could be bought with money in Hawaii, it's cheap. So you think about the things that are priceless, and really it's a gift that all of us can share. And you get back to that source, and you make sure that we're all connected. It's all there. It's up to us to go find it. And those who, hey, no more Aloha, well, plenty other places. But I can tell you, Aloha is alive and well.
It's alive.
It's alive, but it's a choice, right?
What do you make of the, for many people here in the islands, there's an automatic mistrust, or, for people who are not from here. What do you make of that, and do you think it's getting worse? Do you think it's getting any better?
A mistrust of locals for...
Of people from the mainland or elsewhere who are not from here, whether it be in business or in schools, at home.
It's a difference of cultures is really what it is. And the opportunity is, again, back to education. It's educating, enlightening our visitors to what is truly the essence of our culture. It's also important for us to have a lot of patience in that process, because it's not going to happen quickly, and it doesn't often happen overnight. So we have to have patience and persistence, and to accept that for them it'll be learning in incremental steps, and let's be happy with that. It's better than no step at all.
You can smell them too. I mean, the guys all over. I mean, you can smell. The good ones, once they peel it to this place, they get it. They understand. And the other ones, hey, maybe not in this lifetime, but we still aloha them because we practice our aloha. The pilau ones and all. We still got to aloha them. But the ones that connect to the place, they go, oh man, there's nothing like it. That's why they come, and then they go, okay, and then they go live. And then that's the essence, right? That's the feeling. I mean, you see it all over.
Jessica, this is from Louie in Waikiki. How does the high-end store and condo development contribute to Aloha Spirit?
Well, you have to remember the high-end stores contribute to our economy, and a lot of our tourists have. I mean, we have a whole variety of tourists. We have people who have money. We have people who don't have money. And for the people who have money, it services them. It creates jobs. And I see those stores. I don't shop in them, but because I work for a nonprofit,
I saw your shoes today.
I window shop, right? but they do have the Aloha Spirit. I just want to say one quick thing. Danny said something earlier about that the Aloha Spirit begins at home. When I was growing up, my mother was my role model for the Aloha Spirit. Her door, people just come in olden time. They don't call and say, hey, I'm coming over. Yeah. They just pop in and say, hey, what's you having dinner? Yeah. I'm gonna. And my mother says, hey, there's a nephew. Come eat. When you said you respected your mother, me too. My mother was my role model for the Aloha Spirit. And I could tell you this, Mahia, she did not work in the tourism industry. She was just a native Hawaiian woman whose front door was always open to anybody who wanted to stop by anytime.
That's the old days.
Still today, though. Back in the day, still today. Yeah, absolutely. Come to my house, eat anytime.
Exactly. Who is her favorite word?
Come inside. Come eat. Even if you just eat, come eat again.
Danny, what do you make of this? Kim via Twitter says, saw incidents when locals treat visitors horribly, especially in rural areas. Is Aloha limited to certain parts of Hawaii?
Well, education is you got to educate everybody, and it's sad that they pick one spot and they say country, but it depends too. Sometimes I've seen where our malahinis po'opakiki, and then you try to tell them, don't do that, you're gonna get in trouble. I said, and I mean, and some of our local people, you gotta share aloha, but do it in a nice way. You don't have to go hanaino the guy. I said, just it's education.
What specifically, Jessica, do you think in terms of the way we can educate people to show more aloha, to be more compassionate? Aloha
to me means love. And if we show people love, they're going to show it back to us. To me, aloha is also unconditional love, helping people, sharing kindness, generosity, and not really expecting anything back. And I think everybody here, and I know there are many people watching too, just keep doing what you're doing. If you live aloha and share aloha, people are going to, and breathe aloha. That is a role model right there, and people can learn from that.
Kaipo, you have a lot of healing within you. And how would you talk to someone who, let's say, does not feel the Aloha Spirit within? And it's hard to almost feel Aloha Spirit toward others if you can't feel it within yourself. What would you say to that person to help them?
Well, let's see. First, go to the ocean. I thought you would like that.
He likes that answer.
Go to the ocean. There are such.
Eat, right?
And then go eat. Beef stew, extra carrot. By going, the ocean has curative powers in and of itself. It's the vai, the water. And for me, when I need that kind of healing, I go to the ocean, and I go specifically at sunrise. And I tell people, go sunrise time, because it's at that time when that sun is coming up that window to our kupuna is at its widest. Yes, and so you make that connection. You do your pule, you do your prayers, or just reflect.
There's actually hotels that have sunrise services for healing, right? And it's part of the visitor experience. And so people actually get up that early in the morning.
Yes, they will, because they want to experience that. They want to experience a bit of the culture. And these organizations do well to connect that back to our island values. And people experience the culture through simple, simple activities like that.
Mm-hmm. George, Ralph from Kauai says, 1 year ago, lost his leg, and since then has never felt so much aloha. Someone is always there to help. Sometimes is it necessary, do you think, to experience something devastating to really feel the aloha spirit? Does it have to be something negative to feel the positive?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm stoked for Ralph that he could feel it, but you see it with those who have plenty and those who don't have any, but I think it's there for all of us, and I think that's the magic of aloha. I say it was to be shared. Like I say, it really was. When I look at Antipilai Paki, I mean, that was really the key, and it's for us to live with aloha. So all the challenges we have, that's also, they're calling us out. Okay, now's an opportunity for us to even live with more aloha. Like I said, there's no limit on aloha. So if aloha is love, and Rel-san, my dear friend, Rel said we have to make love visible, to make aloha visible. And her thing was give to no more, then give some more. That was the Hawaiian way. And I mean, the essence of how she lived with aloha is really the spirit of all of us. And again, to be shared. And how do you do it? By modeling the way.
When you look at news events, we often see tragedy. Let's say, the devastation in Japan, or let's say 9/11, and people come out and they feel the aloha spirit. They want to help people, but it's always after some sort of tragedy, something devastating. So, can we move beyond that? Kaipo, what do you think?
Well, I think first of all, even if it is reactive, the aloha is reactive. Yes. That's a wonderful thing. Being proactive it comes from being in the moment, and it's when I say being in the moment is that we're connected spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally.
And Kaipo, I wanted to say thank you so much to you for being on this panel today. George Cam, I really appreciate you being here today. Jessica Lunny Rich and Danny Kaleikini, it is an honor to sit across from you.
Mahalo.
Thank you so much for all of your time tonight. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Sorry to cut you off.
No worries.
We're running out of time.
Thank you.
But we hope to see you all again. Aloha.
Thank you.
Aloha. For you, Daniel.
Well, the next time on Insights, members of the millennial generation are starting to come into their own, bringing new ideas about education, urban planning, healthy living, and sustainability. What do these innovative thinkers and forward-thinking entrepreneurs and educators think about the future of Hawaii? On the next Insights on PBS Hawaii, what do our young leaders see for Hawaii's future? That's next time on Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Mahealani Richardson. Ahui ho.